Hello, my name is Dr. Denise Charnowski, and this is this week's A Dose from Dr. Denise, where I hope to teach, show, and inspire you how to release your God-given health and life potential. I am recording this video very late because I've run out of time on Sunday, which is quite ironic because that is what I want to talk to you about today is time. We were driving back from Intercontinental Airport in Houston as we dropped our son and his girlfriend off to return back to their home. I'm starting to learn to say my home is now in Texas. And as I was driving back, I was thinking about this topic of time. In fact, this is something that I've wanted to talk about for a few weeks. But specifically, driving back to the airport, I thought about this. Time is a resource, just like money and health are resources, but it's one of those resources that you will never, ever get back. There are times that we lose our health that we can absolutely get our health back. Not all the time, but a lot of the time, if we eat right, move right, and think right, and if we put in the right amount of time into our health, it can be restored. We can lose our money. And again, if we're smart about it and we work hard and smart, we can get our money back often. But time, you'll never get it back. I will absolutely positively never get this day back. So we need to look at this resource called time and give it just a little bit more thought. And that's what I want to do with you for these next several minutes. If you like these messages on each week on A Dose from Dr. Denise, I try to keep it to about a 10-minute message each week. Just like my page, A Dose from Dr. Denise, or share the message with others. So there's 3 aspects of time that I quickly want to talk about. The first is other people's time. And I want to say simply that other people's time is just as valuable as our time. You wouldn't know it because we're a very, very impatient society. But in Galatians, it says that one of the fruits of the Spirit is patience. It says that love, joy, peace, and patience are fruits of the Spirit. And we need to learn to become more patient. In Texas, it seems that time slows down. And one area where I notice that people are much more patient, it's real simple, but it's at red lights. And so if you're at a red light and the light turns green and there's cars in front of you that don't start moving immediately, horns do not start beeping here, which, up in New Jersey, it takes like less than a nanosecond for someone to absolutely slam on their horn if you don't start moving right away. And what it means is that people are more patient here. And we need to learn, become more patient. When we're in a checkout line and there's a clerk in front of us, their time is just as valuable as our time. I was on hold this week with Sprint and for a ridiculously long amount of time. And it was really frustrating for me because the hold message kept saying how much Sprint valued my time. And I thought it was ironic because clearly they didn't, because they weren't able to solve my problem, which was a relatively simple problem for an online chat person to solve the following day. So, valuing other people's time is very important. And, if you're chronically late, and you just say, well, that's just the way I am. Nope. What it means is that you're valuing your time, your ability to get one more thing done more than someone else's time. And so be more patient. It is definitely the way God wants us to be. And frankly, it's in the Bible. And I'm sure in other spiritual texts as well. The second aspect of time is your time. We are a culture of to-do lists. The more productive we are, the more busy we are, the better we are, clearly. And believe me, I love to-do lists and I like checking things off on my to-do list. But I am recognizing that my time is incredibly valuable and my life is going really quick now. And I need to recognize that what I'm investing my time in is really important. And I know that there's a difference between spending time and investing time. And the difference is one produces fruit and one doesn't. So I would ask you to look at your to-do list and look at each and every item. Is it producing good fruit in your life? Is it time that you're investing? Like this weekend, I spent quality time with my son and his girlfriend. And now that my boys are getting older, Steven turns 22, by the way, tomorrow, which shocks me how fast that time went. but I want to spend quality time with my boys because I'm not getting as much quantity time. And that's a time investment for me. You'll notice the more you use your thumb with scrolling, the more I think that we're wasting time. And even though I'm recording this on social media and posting it to social media, we have to recognize that the amount of time that we spend on social media many times isn't producing any fruit. Frankly, it's one of the reasons I gave up television several years ago, that I didn't feel that it was producing enough fruit in my life. So I would ask you to and I will challenge you with your to-do list. You need to schedule more downtime in your schedule. You need to schedule more breathing room so that you're not chronically running late. And you need to evaluate what is on your production list and see if you can reduce instead of produce as much. Because there's incredible freedom when you're able to take a little bit more off your schedule, have a little bit more breathing room. God forbid, be just a little bit bored, because when we're bored, it gives us time to create. And, God never said that we need to have 152 things on our to-do list done today in order to, be children of God. And the third thing I want to share with you, and it's really simple, is that God's time is not our time. God's time is not relative to our time. And so God will, produce things in our life on his time schedule and not on our time schedule. It took us quite a while to figure out what the next step in our lives would be, with our careers would be, and that was God's timetable. And I have learned, and am going to continue to learn, to trust God's timing way more than ours, because his ways are higher than our ways. I seem to be sharing that every single week, but honestly, when I trust God's timing, it always, always, always works out. So those are the three things I want you to think on this week. How you spend time with others. Are you respectful of other people's times? Are you patient with others? Do you need to work on that fruit of the Spirit, patience? How are you spending your time? Are you spending it, or are you investing it? And are there fruit at the end of the things that you're investing time in? Is fruit being generated? And lastly, recognize that God's time is always perfect. And what I've learned in my life is the more time that I spend with God, not just on Sundays, but every single day, several times throughout the day, the better my life is, because that is definitely an investment in time. I want to conclude with, if you have not watched the sermon from the royal wedding that happened yesterday, Michael Curry's 13 and a half minute sermon, it was on love and how love is a redemptive power and it can change the world. And I couldn't agree more. So I would highly recommend that you go and watch that this week. Have an awesome week. Learn to be more patient. Learn to invest your time more wisely. Think on those things. Recognize that time is something you can never, ever get back. You will not get today back. Think on those things. Have an awesome week. Peace out, and I'll see you next week.